Okay, welcome to a new episode of Nate's MMA Corner. I'm Nate, and if you watch my show, you're in my corner. Today is a new episode, post-fight show for UFC 239, Jones versus Santos. Wow, what a card this was. Post-fight rundown on the main card, so let's get started. So the main event was John Jones versus Thiago Santos. Wow, a split decision win for John Jones. This was a close fight. I had 3 rounds for Jones, 2 for Santos. Definitely rounds 1 or 2, and then 3 or 4 for Jones, and then definitely 5 for Jones. And then, yeah, I think the judges got it right. This was a close fight. I was shocked that this was pretty much all stand-up, and Jones didn't use his wrestling in this fight. I was a little bit shocked by that, but Jones been here, done this before, so he probably, you know, figured that he would be fine in the stand-up, which obviously was correct. Great fight. Yeah, there's pretty much no takedowns in this fight on either side a whole lot, really. I mean, it was pretty much all stand-up. Great striking on both fronts. Santos and Jones landed some great leg kicks. And, yeah, Jones has defended the belt yet again. Then in the women's bantamweight division, we had Amanda Nunes versus Holly Holm. Wow. TKO head kick and punches, round 1, 4 minutes, 10 seconds into it. Amanda Nunes knocked out Holly Holm pretty much almost the same exact way that Holly Holm knocked out Ronda Rousey, which was real shocking. I thought, if anything, Holly Holm would get maybe worn out, and then Nunes would go for a takedown, some ground and pound, and then submission. That's how I would have saw Nunes winning this fight. On my pre-fight, I picked Holm to win this fight, but yeah, I got this one wrong. And Nunes, at this point, you have to say Nunes one of the greatest female fighters of all time. You definitely have to put her in that debate of Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Ronda Rousey in terms of, you know, being a champion in the UFC and title accolades and all that stuff. I mean, she won the title from Miesha Tate back at UFC 200, the bantamweight title, and then she's defended that bantamweight title and then won the featherweight title against Cyborg. So you really, you think about it, it's like she beat Miesha Tate, Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm, Cyborg. So she's beat the who's who of the women's fighters, and it's pretty much hard to argue how she's not in that debate of greatest female fighters in MMA history at this point. Then in the welterweight division, we had Jorge Masvidal versus Ben Askren. KO, flying knee, 5 seconds, fastest knockout in UFC history. Jorge Masvidal, I'm eating my words with him right now because, excuse me, I thought I treated the Till win like it was a fluke, and then now he did this with Ben Askren. You know, it's like, okay, maybe that wasn't a fluke, and then plus it was a quick knockout. He looked impressive. Also, Jorge Masvidal, the way he acted at the post-fight press conference, I give him mad props because, you know, I mean, a lot of fighters talk trash before the fight, and then all of a sudden they're best friends after the fight, and it seems kind of silly sometimes, and people go, oh, that's fake, and then it just emphasizes some of the arguments that the haters of the sport say, oh, see, it's like pro wrestling, you know, where it's like they're saying things almost like a script, you know, they don't really mean it. But this is one of those fights where it's like, okay, he showed he really meant it, and this was real, you know, as the tagline went back in the day, as real as it gets. Jorge Masvidal, love him or hate him, I mean, he spoke his mind. And Jorge Masvidal, I definitely think he's in the mix for the title at this point. I mean, beating Ben Askren and Darren Till, 2 top-ranked guys. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 more fights and he gets a title shot. Or he could be a substitute for someone getting injured going into a title fight. So I got him definitely in that title talk mix at this point. Ben Askren was 19-0 with 1 no contest going into this fight. Jorge Masvidal, I mean, if you told me about Jorge Masvidal, if someone asked me about Jorge Masvidal a year ago, I would have said, well, he's a tough, durable UFC veteran, and his claim to fame was fighting for the Strikeforce lightweight title back in the day. I'm sure he'll win some fights in the UFC and that'll be the end of it. But now it's like, I think he would stand a chance against Usman even for the belt. Or, if he has a fight Colby Covington, hopefully he's not one of those fighters that's just going to be like, oh, I don't want to fight my teammates, or I don't want to fight people I like. I hope he's open to fighting anyone and everyone, because for me, that's always what a champ does, or a true competitor or fighter does, But anyways, Jorge Masvidal is definitely looking impressive. Then in the light heavyweight division, we had Jan Blachowicz versus Luke Rockhold. KO punches round 2, a minute and 39 seconds into round 2. Win for Jan Blachowicz over Luke Rockhold. Luke Rockhold, I was kind of shocked. I mean, he got knocked out in similar fashion from Michael Bisping, and someone pointed out to me the left hook just seems to be there for Luke Rockhold's opponents, and hopefully Luke Rockhold, catches hold of this. And Jan Blachowicz, you got to say that the guys in the title mix at this point. I mean, you got Santos lost, you got Smith lost big time to, Santos lost to Jones. You got Smith lost bigly to Jones, and Smith is coming off a win, rebounding after the title fight loss. But would you give Smith immediate, another match at this stage against Jones? I would have Smith win 1 or 2 more matches. Then you could say, okay, maybe he's gone better since the first fight with Jones, and then have him fight. So maybe like Jan Blachowicz versus Anthony Smith, or just simply put Jan Blachowicz as someone against Jones in the next title defense for Jones. Fresh face, they've never fought each other. And people might say, well, Jan doesn't stand a chance against Jones. Why give him the shot then? Well, there's not a whole... Jones kind of gone through the top 10, so what else do you do? He's sort of the next guy in line, whether you like it or not. Gustafsson's retired, so... DC left 205. So there's not a whole lot of guys in the top 5 that Jones hasn't already beat, and Jan is definitely a top 5 guy. So I say Jan Blachowicz should at this point get a title shot. Then in the welterweight division, to kick off the main card, we had Michael Chiesa versus Diego Sanchez. This fight was fairly predictable. This was probably the most predictable fight on the main card for me. Michael Chiesa outclassed Diego Sanchez every step of the way and won by decision. Impressive Diego Sanchez fact, he's never been submitted in the UFC. Give him props for that. But Michael Chiesa just looked amazing. Anyways, that wraps up the, so Chiesa wins by unanimous decision, just out-grappling Sanchez. But anyways, that wraps up the post-fight show for UFC 239. And as always, stay tuned in the coming days for my pre-fight for UFC Fight Night, De Randamie versus Aspen Ladd. That's going to be a great fight. And until then, see ya.